Hi everyone, Bandanner here. I hope you're all doing well. So, on the back of my third ranked game, here is my fourth. Let's see if I learned any lessons from that game. I do advise you to watch the ranked games in order if you can, because obviously the idea is, am I learning from game to game within reason? Am I learning from my mistakes? So this time I was trying to Q-snipe Protozoka from SD League while he was doing his no keyboard stream, because I thought that would be a good laugh. Two casters, or two YouTubers, streamers, whatever, playing a silly game together. Maybe I would have said I won't use my keyboard either and failed miserably because he would have played it better than me. But it would have been a funny game, whatever the outcome. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get him. There were a lot of people trying to play ranked that night. A lot of low-level people as well. So whether they were trying to snipe him, I don't know. But I know Lathan said that he was queuing for a long time, 8-10 minutes, things like that, while lots of people were getting matched that were lower than him. So I got matched against this opponent. Back on Vertigo, I'm kind of comfortable with this map. I like this map. I'm getting used to it. I'm obviously playing the 39th again, so I'm, building up to trying other divisions, but I'm just getting used to using the 39th. How they work on each map, how I would change my plan with each map. I think changing divisions all the time is really risky because you're not finding the pattern with one and then adapting it to work with others. You're going in and changing every time, and it could just confuse you more, I think. So sticking with one at the start is probably a good idea, and that's what I've kind of been doing. So I'm going to ignore what my opponents put down at the moment. Because I don't know what they're doing at this stage, obviously. I'm just doing my own thing. Now, what is in my mind right now is he is the 5th E. He is mobile. I am not that mobile. I'm the 39th. I'm strong. I'm heavy. I'm BMP 3 and tank heavy. I'm not going to be dashing about unless it's my helicopters and aircraft. So, what am I coming up against? The answer is I don't know. I know he's going to have AMX-10s. I don't like AMX-10s. They are very good. So I need to be careful about those. I don't know if my opponent knows how to use them effectively. I don't know what level my opponent is. I don't know anything about them at this stage. So I've gone for a very standardized spread. I've not gone for a very aggressive one side or the other. So I've got some Rozvedka coming up here into Bravo. And then I've got some Rozvedka going up here. And the little vehicle going there, and some Rozvedka dropping off in that building. I'm not going straight into Delta. I don't know what my opponent's got. I don't know whether he's coming in with commandos in choppers or whatever else. Obviously he is. At the top of the map, I'm sending a Conkers, 2 Iglas, a Motorstrucky Metis, and a T-80BK. I want to hold that side and be a little bit aggressive, if necessary. But I'm not expecting to necessarily push aggressively at that side, because I don't know what my opponent's doing. At this side, I'm bringing maybe about the same amount in terms of points. I'm bringing a command, which is going to drop into Echo, but obviously it's an infantry command, so it's a bit cheaper. I'm bringing a Strela, I'm bringing a couple of Iglas, a couple of Motorstrucky Metis, and a Motorstrelki in a BMP-3. Mostly for the BMP-3, you understand. Now, an Igla and a Metis are going to go over here, you'll notice, with the blue line, the blue arrow. The command will drop off in Echo, and the others are going to push up to here. Again, I'm not pushing them into Delta. I don't know what my opponent's doing. So, my Mi-24V anti-air. It's cheaper than the Mi-24K. It is not recon. But this thing can deal with choppers. It can deal with aircraft, kind of. Obviously, aircraft are more scary to it, but it can fire back. And it can hit ground targets. This is purely to stall whatever's going to Delta in hope that my infantry reach this point in time for me to move them in. So what I don't know is he's got commandos coming in choppers. But I'm about to find out. At least I'm about to find out for Delta. I have no idea what's going on in Charlie. He's also got an MX-10 RC in the middle of the map. And for the first time in, I think, most of my games on this map, I've not sent anything here. Usually I send something to this little tree line here to cover the middle. I haven't. And in retrospect, that was probably a very good thing, because it wouldn't have made it there in time. If I had sent a Conkers up this road, it would have been here, and it would have been getting there just at the same time as the MX-10 and would have been killed. So there we go. My Mi-24V manages to kill the Super Puma and the Commandos there. Happy days. They're out of the way. Now I move it up. My opponent has resorted to buying a Mirage fighter to deal with that. Sensible on his part. It means that I can't now stop his infantry coming in. And I will have to pull that back. But I decide that I want to go for the AMX-10RC with it. What I should have done is pulled it back to there and landed it, so it was less at risk from the Mirage, but it probably still would have got strafed. Obviously, the MX-10 is engaging me, but I have my lovely T-80BK. A good choice. I'm happy with that. That can engage that AMX-10. I can engage with that. So that's my plan. Now that I've got my units at this side, as far forward as I can, I've decided to move them in. For better or for worse, I've decided to move them in. Because I've killed those commandos, so hopefully he has a bit less here. That was kind of true. He had a bit less there, but he still had a lot. He'd sent most of his forces down here, including the AMX-30B2 at the back there, which I do see at this point. So I've got my BMP-3 firing in from the back there. My infantry obviously are a bit outnumbered. He's doing a strafing run there with the Mirage, which doesn't seem to get anything, and my Strela is seeing it off. AMX-10 is badly damaged there. It's trying to take some shots at my infantry, but I just pull them back slightly. And it did get a nasty hit from my T-80BK. This side, not going great for me, but he's kind of giving the game away. I know that there's a load of stuff there, which means that he can't have much at the other side of the map. So what do we do in response? We push the other side. I move up my Razvedka first to the building so I can see what he's got. At this side of the map, I made a big mistake. You'll notice the smoke down here at the bottom. I sent my infantry in without deploying them earlier and not knowing what was in there, and his commandos killed them both while they were in the vehicle. That was an Igla and a Motorstrike Metis. So that was really stupid of me. Lesson is keep an eye on where you deploy your troops and make sure you deploy them before you get near a town when you don't know what's in there. I'm being a little bit pushy here with my units because at the other side you'll notice I'm starting to move my units out. I want to stress my opponent out, and my opponent at this point makes a bit of a mistake. They buy an Alf 1. All the way at the back there you'll see there is an AMX Alf 1. 210 points of artillery. That is expensive artillery. What am I going to do when I see that artillery shell coming in on my Razvedka? Yep, exactly that. I immediately move it out. Just push. If I'm not stood still, that AMX artillery cannot hit me. That is my plan now. I've just got to keep moving. Concerns me here is the Milan 2. The Grenadier Voltigeurs are almost dead. The command is having to be moved out. I've still got an infantry unit in the other side, which is good for me. It means that he's struggling there, and you'll notice he's bringing in a lot of units at that side. Trying to bring in some at this side as well now. I'm just keeping the pressure up. While I'm also calling in reinforcements, by the way. I haven't forgotten that I need to do that. I'm going to spin around and look at it from their point of view. You'll notice at the other side, I'm bringing in a T-80BV and a Cub. So do you remember one of my things in Game 3? Was that I was bringing in aircraft instead of Cubs when I could have just brought in Cubs. This time I brought a Cub. Because obviously it's a lot cheaper than buying an expensive aircraft. So I went with that. Motorstrike Metis, Razvedka, doing a reasonable job there. My opponent, very sensibly with an AMX-10RC, gets right up close and personal to that Metis squad. I almost get very unlucky with my T-80BK. That was some terrible micro by me. I smoked too late, facing the wrong way. If he'd got a hit, I would have been in trouble. I got very lucky. So, lesson for me there, better micro with that tank. Infantry at this side, again, has just gone in the point. I'm being aggressive here. I'm trying to put the pressure on. I'm utilising the BTRs at the back there to provide a little fire support. And now my T-80BV and my BMP-3s have arrived. This is all about BMP-3s providing fire support. He's again using his artillery. He's firing into that forest, but I'm already moving. Just got to try and keep moving, and that artillery is useless. I'm moving up my conkers here, which will go into one of those buildings. It just helps me lock down this point. The T80BK, I'm using it as fire support now. It can do damage. It might as well. There's nothing else there. I'm not concerned. I'm ignoring the bottom point at the moment a little bit. I'm focusing more on Delta, the big point in the middle of the industrial zone. Call myself in a command tank there, and my Motorstocky Metis reinforcements and an SPG-9 are arriving up here. Now, one of the mistakes I'm about to make is that I do end up, because of the amount of reinforcements he's bringing in, clustering my units in here, and he artilleries it again. I mean, no doy, right? He's got an artillery piece that he's fired there already. Of course, he's going to fire it on when he knows my units have all pulled back there. So I do end up losing a few units. It's fine. We're keeping the pressure up at this side, though. We've got the tank in there doing some damage. I was hoping I could maybe get a sneaky shot on the MX-30 command, but I don't. I'm trying to keep it safe. I don't want to push it up too far. I've managed to capture the enemy logistics there. Tasty treats for my troops. I can rearm and repair them. Opponent's making good use of the Alpha 1 since he bought it, but it probably wasn't the best purchase at that stage of the game, because it's not too scary for me when I'm trying to be mobile. He's still got his AMX-10 RC alive back there, which he will get repaired, but again, that doesn't pose too much of a threat. Cluster Bomber coming in, going for my T-80BV. Not the cheapest jet. I'll grab it. 240 points, and I've got AA there, and it goes down. I get a couple of good hits, one with the Cub, one with the Strela. Happy days. My opponent is now hurting. He's lost an expensive jet, and he's bought an expensive piece of artillery, which isn't really doing a lot to me right now. Obviously, he's thinking, how do I get back in this point? He's bringing around an MX-10 at this side. I've got my conkers there. My tank is still back here if I need it. I'm feeling stable. My opponent's forces are all the way at the back of this point, and I'm bringing in more stuff. I'm bringing in Sapri RPO. I've got my tank on the way. I'm moving my Sapri Commander to a building in this point. I was umming and ahhing over what to do with it. I thought about maybe trying to get it in the bottom point, but I decided no, I'll leave it back there. My opponent may try and get something around the back. I'll just leave it be. It's not going to do any good moving it up just to get killed by the infantry in there. So I'm happy. Getting a little bit of skirmishing going on here. This wasn't great, I'll be honest with you. He has a lot of infantry, and for some reason I was really struggling. He also has the fire support from the AMX-30s, so that's not great either. So I end up having to back off. This is the point where I back off into that little bit of forest. My mistake, as I say. Over this side, I'm getting these in a sort of position to fire in at the enemy forces. Still kind of sacrificing my infantry here. I know they're going to take damage, but I'm just trying to harass, because he has fire support at the back. So he can, not just with the infantry, but the vehicles as well, pepper my infantry. So I'm just, you know, I'm taking my time. I'm building up forces. I don't need to necessarily rush. I just want to keep pressuring them, because I don't want him to think, oh, I can send everything to one side of the map or the other. I want him to keep splitting his forces. AMX-10 is engaging on my conkers. My conkers is getting quite unlucky with its hits, but I do move up the T-80BK to assist and try and get some shots on that. I don't think he's microing the AMX at this point, because it pushes forward into fire. It does reverse at this point, so I think he realizes. But I'm just moving my conkers out of there, and this is where I start losing stuff. So I pulled everything back there, so I just Q move it. No messing about, just Q move that way, but I am going to lose some of these infantry. I'm going to lose an Igla. I think I'll lose something else as well, but I just Q move. It's going to die if it stays there. It's going to die if it goes in the enemy. I might as well try and do some damage with it. So I'm just going in to do as much damage as possible. It's okay. The T-80BK is still alive. We've managed to kill the enemy AMX-10 RC. I've got another Sapri RPO arriving. I've got reinforcements. There's stuff there that's going to help. So we're okay. He brings his AMX-10 RC in, going for my Metis, which are running away, but unfortunately, BMP 3 does the trick with its missile. It has a very good missile, never to be underestimated. My opponent smoked, but a little bit too late. So, where are we at right now? I've lost a lot of infantry in this game, but I've not lost anything too expensive. I've also not wasted any money on any expensive toys like aircraft or artillery. Artillery may have eventually been beneficial for attacking this town or this industrial area, but my opponent just surrenders. Or crashes. I'm not entirely sure which. But as my command tank goes in that bottom point, the industrial area, my opponent goes. I have no idea if that was that they thought they were losing or knew they'd lost or whatever they felt about it, or they crashed. I honestly don't know. I was positive in kills to losses by a reasonable margin for an 11-minute game, but not a massive margin. I mean, I'd still lost 995 points worth of units. They'd lost a little bit more. But I was quite surprised that they suddenly left because they'd only just called in a bomber. So I don't know whether that was a crash or a quit. I will note that my opponent had about a 43% win rate and quite a lot of games played, so it's possible that they get to a point where they think they can't win anymore and just sack it off and move on to the next one. Not necessarily a bad strategy, but sometimes you can pull these things back if you keep playing. I think the main thing there between me and my opponent was I just killed a few more expensive units and they purchased a piece of artillery that was not massively helpful to them. I mean, it wasn't really the biggest threat to me. It did a bit of damage to some infantry, but otherwise, I can live with it being at the back and not really affecting me. So it was an expensive purchase, whereas mine was more on frontline units. I threw a lot of infantry away in that game. I didn't watch the infantry at the far side that was going in. I should have deployed them earlier, so they were safer, maybe gone through the forest. And I obviously was not careful with my command tank, and it was very lucky not to get side shot by the Milan 2. So takeaway points there. But I didn't buy aircraft in response to them having aircraft. I utilised my ground anti-air, which was cheaper and just as effective. And generally, I thought the game went reasonably well. I'm sure Lathans will tell me otherwise, but I thought it went okay. But thanks for watching, everyone. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. I will do some more ranked games and share them with you.